This is a Podful of Saints on Thursday, the 25th of January, 2024. Podful of Saints, all about St Albans City Football Club, done by St Albans City's three of our staunchest supporters, plus us three as well. It's myself, David Tavener, the man behind the controls there, Jake Ellacott.
Dave, you sounded like a local newsreader then. That was brilliant. I loved it. There's still time for you yet to have another career.
Well, since Will walked out, and we got a vacancy for a commentator on the match games.
Wait a minute. Another career? Did he have a career in the first place, or what?
And that'd be Lee Woodcock in there. Good evening, Lee.
Good evening, David. Good evening, Jacob. How the devil are we?
Well, we're pleased to have some action to talk about after having the Hampton game postponed last week and the Weymouth game postponed on Saturday. In fact, Hampton, if you look at the fixture list on the club website, which is where you get all the up-to-date information, Hampton is the last game on there of results. So it's got match postponed. No mention of Weymouth, no mention we won Tuesday, but who cares? We did. We were there. And interesting game, wasn't it? Hampton, I thought for maybe first hour or so, one of the most organised sides we've played against this season. They looked how they knew what they're doing. They looked at a decent side. You would not believe they're down where they are. They've had a good run of late. But my God, they were leaky at the back once we got at them. Now, let's see if you two are paying attention. Zane Banton's goal on Tuesday, followed by Ryan Seager's equaliser for Havant. What's the significance of those two goals?
Oh, you mentioned it last week. Was it our 1,000th goal or something like that? No.
Close, Jack, close. A 900th goal scored in National League South, and then 900th goal conceded National League South. Great that happened in the same game. What a great goal by Zane Banton to get us underway. And it typifies some of our moves during the night. Good work down the wings, good ball into the middle, good finish. It must look pretty nice behind the goal, I should think.
Before we get into Zane's goal, I want to say Jake got very excited about 10 seconds in. He thought
don't mention this.
So, I mean, listen, some people claim that we don't watch the game anyway. I watched the game, but at least I know what end we're shooting towards. 10 seconds gone. Partington is like making a back pass. Jake thought Partington had made some sort of Maisie-esque run and he's through on goal against Michael Johnson. And he's like, go on then. And literally everyone turned around in blind panic, absolutely pissed themselves. And it was just, he's never lived it down. Yeah. Seriously. I mean, this is the sort of quality you get on the Podful of Saints now, good people. But what can we do? He got excited, bless him, Tabs. But yes, let's get back to the proper goals. First goal for us. Absolutely fantastic. The movement, wasn't it? You know, Gio and then Sean with a really intelligent sort of cutback. Zane sold the dummy, sent their fella for a cup of tea in the stand, slotted it through. I mean, when we saw it behind the goal, Jay, people were wetting themselves because it was the sort of football we aren't really renowned for playing, that slick passing interaction inside the box. But my God, it was fantastic, wasn't it, mate?
It was superb. And to be honest, it was probably the best part of the whole first half for us, wasn't it? Aside from that, we didn't have much else on display. But as I say, for me, it was really made by Sean Jeffers. I know Zane, superb finish, but Jeffers' turn and ball in, I don't think there's anyone else in the squad that would do that and get his head up in that position and play it like that. It was brilliant. And Zane screaming, well, we've screamed out for him, haven't we, since he got injured in the first game of the season. You know, someone that can make those runs to the edge of the box and make those finishes. And it was absolutely brilliant. And I'm still astounded by Zane and how well he is playing, given the injury he had and how long he was out. And it was absolutely brilliant.
It's true what you say, Jay. We didn't do an awful lot else the rest of that first half. But they had, 4 really good shots at Michael Johnson? Powerful ones. And Tim Petty, unusually astute, said they're testing Michael's... They're testing John's fingers because we know he's had problems with them and that's why he's been out lately. But he stood up to it well. He kept him out well and it was a good return for him. But yeah, 1-1 at half-time. We couldn't argue about it. They certainly deserved it. But the second half, going down the hill, we just created a lot of good chances. I went to Harpenden Saturday and David Keendle was running the show from midfield. So many goal-mouth incidents. And we said, you don't get this at Clarence Park. No, not nowadays. But we did in that second half Saturday. We created a fair few chances. And I thought that was quite encouraging.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought the big change in the second half, and it's been repeated in a few games this season, think of Eastbourne, Hemel first half to some extent, was the first half. I thought we played the ball long a few too many times, especially when it kept getting caught up in the wind and it was always going to sail out of play. Second half, we actually kept the ball down, especially playing into the wind, and the conditions were difficult, it has to be said. We kept the ball down, we kept the ball wide, and it just worked really well. The amount of crosses that we put into the box on Tuesday night, it felt like almost every single one could have been scored. But I thought that was a big difference. And also, has to be said, Devontae Stanley coming off at half time helped a little bit as well because he was causing a little bit of trouble down that right hand side.
He was excellent, wasn't he? It was good to see him back down there. Obviously not fully fit, and presumably that's why he went off at half time. Had they kept him on, been able to keep him on in the second half, it could have made things a lot more interesting. Well, not more interesting, a lot more difficult for us than it eventually was.
Yeah, it was a real contrast because in the first half we were playing with the wind, so we decided to just not go through the thirds. We thought we'd sort of try that sort of glorious ball over the top, and it was never going to happen because it was just going to skid on. It cost Hutchinson his right hamstring. We heard that ping quite early doors. So I think from then on in, it was just logical to keep it on the green where we've got the better players. I absolutely take your point, Tabs. They're a full-time team, and you know what? They moved the ball really, really well. First half in particular, they had some good shape to them, and they caused us a load of problems. That said, second half, I thought they were quite poor in comparison, but we made them look poor. I think we made ourselves a bit sort of more canny. I think Mitch coming on, you don't really associate Mitch with brute strength, but he tormented their fullback. He got the better of them time after time again. I thought Hoddle was decent. I thought Jeffers was good. His movement was a lot better. Probably the best I've seen him in a good few games now. Banton again causing trouble, even though he was pegged back at left back. But, the whole collective now, I mean, I'm about to go on the Yeovil Town podcast about half an hour. And it's going to be such a comparison from when I spoke to them early doors. We were unsettled side then, and players were just sort of coming into their own. Now, those players who we keep talking about week after week, they're established. And not only that, they're performing at a really high level.
It's interesting you mentioned Mitchell Weiss coming off the bench after only 10 minutes for Dom Hutchinson. We all want to see Mitch out there from the start alongside Sean. The two work really well together, have done what for 3 seasons now or more. The obvious change would have bring on Haroon Hamid. He could go out wide, a straight swap for Hutchinson. But in a roundabout way, we got the side we wanted and we got the benefits of it later on. What would you have done, Jake? Would you have gone with Weiss, or would you have brought Hamid on when Hutch got the early injury?
I thought it was going to be Hamid. He was immediately out warming up when Hutchinson went down. I thought that was going to work, but then the balance of the team, it worked out in the end because Mitch sort of almost swapped with Zane. Zane went out to the left, and we know that Zane actually works really quite hard defensively, even against a player like Devontae Stanley. And Devontae Stanley did cause him quite a bit of trouble, but it worked. And especially in the second half, having Zane on that left-hand side, when you've got more of the ball, more time, more space, it allowed that width of Mitch not really being behind Sean, drifting out wide to the right, Zane on the left, and almost becoming a front three at times. And it was a front three that Havant couldn't deal with. So as you say, Dave, I think inadvertently, at least in the second half, the substitution worked really well, even if that wasn't initially what was particularly intended.
Yeah, that's 7th time in a row we've beaten them in 3 years, something like that, 3 or 4 years. It's a remarkable record, isn't it? And first time since 1993, we stand a chance of winning 5 successive league games at the start of the year. We know what our 5th one's against. We're going to look at that in a minute. We haven't mentioned the other goals. George Hoddle got the second goal with a lovely deflection. 3 bookings in 3 games for him and 4 league goals. We've sung his praises before, and I've got a feeling we're going to sing him again before the season's out.
I think you're right. But one thing that was interesting about Hoddle's goal is that I got to the ground earlier than usual, and City were sort of practicing in the goal mouth, but they were doing that 2-touch setup play where it was going into no ball. He was just laying it off and then like the first time shot into the goal. Okay, it took a wicked deflection, but it just goes to sort of show there is a method, in the madness. But the thing is, Hoddle, I thought he deserved the goal on Tuesday night. I thought he worked tirelessly, and the fact is he was linking that play. A shout out as well to the defence, Partington Clark. It wasn't easy. I mean, it was absolutely horrendous conditions. Tricky for defenders, slippery. Havant have got some pacey forwards as well. They tried to utilise that in the second half, didn't get anywhere because we defended superbly well. And I think backed up with the likes of Hoddle and Blackman. And to the credit there, Zane. I think one of the reasons why Zane was brought into that setup was because he's got a bit more discipline when it comes to sort of tracking back. Hamid, brilliant player. Yes, we've seen sort of like snippets of him, but are you going to get a full 90 out of him or full 80? Don't know. But Zane, I think you had no real sort of qualms of putting him in that position. I think you could look across the board on Tuesday night, boys, and pick everyone out for praise, because I think as a unit collectively, as they tore Havant apart, and as you say, they're a full-time team, and we made them look bang average on a horrible, horrible night for football.
You mentioned Joe Partington in there, Lee. I think we've spoken before about this, haven't we, Jake? The number of headers he wins, and he won a lot again on Tuesday. He's quite slight, but he's fairly tall, and he just times his jump so well.
Yeah, absolutely. And as to be said, his arc from where he's come from those first few weeks and months, I think he had a lot of people that weren't his biggest fan. I think it's fair to say, some of whom we know quite well, but he's proven people wrong, and the team around him is working as well. He's got players left and right of him now. He's got Michael Clark, etc. More mobile players that are doing really well and can complement his abilities. And to be fair to Partington, he might win a lot of headers, but he can actually play the ball out from the back quite well as well. Apart from the one that caused Dom Hutchinson to pick up a hamstring injury, we won't talk about that one. But otherwise, pretty good. And also, we have to mention, didn't we, a few minutes ago, Michael Johnson now back there behind the defence. And I thought again, he didn't have loads to do, but when he did come out for the ball for crosses and claiming balls at attackers' feet, I thought he did fairly well and looked more commanding than McNamara has done.
In the first hour, he had a lot more to do than Ross Warner did for Havant, and he did well. Michael did well. Yes, you mentioned Josh McNamara there. His loan is over from Southampton, so he's gone back to, is it Delway Platinel, or have they moved? Nobody tells me anything. Right, getting on with our goals. Our third goal in the 90th minute, Sean Jeffers. He managed to produce one of the all-time great misses down the park before that goal. And then comes up, was it 13 in 9? Terrific run he's on. And we sing his praises every week. Which one of you wants to do it today?
That finish, it was filthy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was brilliant.
It was filthier than a miner's armpit. I mean, to be honest with you, it was... The thing is, yes, he had a very bad miss. I still don't think it's as bad as a canvas miss, by the way. It was a shocking miss. I'm not trying to sort of defend him. But the ball, but this is what I'm saying. If you look at the highlights again, I haven't seen them yet, but I think Mitch won the ball and he took his time. He didn't just fire it across the goal straight away. He took his time. Jeffers peeled away. And that little dink, Warner was on his ass. He thought, right, if I blast it, it's going to hit him. And it's just that tiny little dink. And it was beautiful to watch. Absolutely fantastic. What can you say? Because the thing is, you look at Sean and you see the goals against Worthing and Hemel, those speculative, those glorious long range efforts. It's the touch and it's the class when it's sort of in his feet, in and around the area. That's what makes him head and shoulders above anything else.
Well, you're used to watching the ball go flying past you in six-a-side, Jake, when you're in goal there, and that sort of gentle thing like that, when the ball's going in slow motion, it's painful, isn't it, as a goalkeeper? And then you go 4 minutes later into injury time, and Mitchell Weiss's goal is even worse. He miscues it first of all because the ball bounces up. The ball then bounces up, hits his bottom of his five. The keeper's going, oh, for God's sake, I know what's going on here. And he just strokes it in. For a goalkeeper, but they're painful, aren't they?
Incredibly painful. You just sit there. I mean, Ross Warner for Mitch's one is literally sat there almost watching him hit it. Oh, it's brilliant. And even for a supporter, I will say Sean's goal and even George's, both of them seem to they almost seem to go in slow motion as they cross the line, and behind all of us in the goal going, come on, come on. So absolutely brilliant. But as to be said, Ross Warner, it wasn't his best evening. He was getting a fair bit of stick from the supporters behind the goal after an incident fairly early on with Gio Rasulo. Well, I think it's fair to say he left quite a bit on him, I thought myself. And he was getting a lot of stick for the rest of the evening. And by the end, he looked like a defeated man, didn't he?
Hang on, this season, can you name one visiting goalkeeper, innocent or otherwise, who has not had stick down the park?
Yeah, but this is just. It might be something to do with, although they're not spelt the same, but Warner and cheating. Oh, hang on, that's the Vauxhall chairman. I'm going to bin him off. Sorry. So, he left a massive bit on Gio Rasulo. He didn't leave a lot of skin on his cheek. He smashed into his face. I mean, what a dirty bastard, seriously. But you know what? He got what he deserved, So he was on the end of an absolute 4-1 drumming. And to be honest with you, Tavs, correct me if you think I'm wrong. It could have been 6 or 7.
Yeah. Yeah, you're dead right about that. What was I going to come on to say here? I couldn't be very interested. Even I've forgotten it.
The Vauxhall chairman? No, okay.
Well, yeah. Don't talk to him about 1968 when they beat us in a replay. when they got a lucky draw down the park 5 minutes before my time. Right, looking at the Havant side, we've already touched on Devontae Stanley. Got Johan Zuma, who's the brother of the West Ham player. He was the one doing the filming when the poor old cat got a good kick in the other season. As a certain supporter next to us kept reminding everybody with his cat noises. It's a bloke from Albans again.
I mean,
we're an intelligent lot, aren't we, eh? On the terraces.
Like Lee said, that Havant team is full of a lot of names and a lot of players at this level. And given their league position, fine. And, they have had a recent upturn in form. It might not be spectacular, but it's given them some hope. And for us to get past them in the end, and as Lee said, maybe should have scored a few more. And I thought by the end, to be honest, for a full-time outfit, I thought they looked like they were out on their legs because they couldn't deal with our pace running at them. And I thought for us to put on that display against a team like that, even whatever their league position is, I think is really good. And how many times in the last 3-4 seasons of this podcast would we have said, yeah, we lost that because it was just very St Albans City to lose against the team that had second bottom while we're trying to chase the playoff places. But
good point.
It was a potential banana skin, especially with 2 really tough games coming up. I think it was really important to get 3 points on the board to set ourselves up for 2 tougher games, or even after that, tough games. And it was just, I thought, a really professional performance second half. And I was actually quite pleased with Nobby's post-match. He wasn't happy with the first half display. And I'm pleased about that because, I don't want us playing like that in the first half all the time. If we can put a full 90-minute performance like that second half, a lot of teams are going to struggle to cope with us.
Cool, strong words, Jake. Are you sure the points are on the board? Surely you go on the league table. They don't go on the board, do they? I don't know. I don't understand these things. Right, since they got rid of the highly successful Steve King, who didn't manage a single win at all in his time down at Wesley Park, they're going with 3 temporary managers, which is, I didn't watch their post-match interview, but it must go on for an hour. Perhaps they need a few more, 3.5. Right, should we move on to Saturday? We've got another game at Clarence Park. Yeovil Town, they're not doing too bad this season. 12 points clear at the top of the table. We played them in the second game of the season down at Hewish Park and lost 2-1. It's funny, you speak to supporters from other clubs and they're like us. They're not over-impressed with what they saw. On that day, we didn't think they were that great. Well, here we are, 1 defeat in 20 games later, 16 of them wins. Was it 6 clean sheets? Oh, 5 clean sheets in the last 6 games, 5 straight wins. This is our biggest game of the season so far, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. But, are they going to be complacent? You would probably suggest not, given their form. Listen, it's going to be extremely tough. Extremely tough. And yes, we are a team in form, as Jake said, and we are creating chances, and we've got some extremely good players. This is a whole new level now. This is almost the level above. Excuse me. But I don't know what you boys think, because on our day, any given Saturday and all of those, all that jazz. But I don't know. There's just something about the fact that they are so head and shoulders above anything else that we've seen. But we're at the park, and we're starting to get a bit of momentum going now. Confidence is going to be high. The crowd is going to be fantastic. It's going to be large. They're going to bring a massive, massive contingent. Jake, we heard the numbers of 350, 400 Yeovil fans coming down on Saturday. It's going to be a cracking atmosphere. Get yourselves down if you weren't even sort of thinking about doing so. Who knows? I just can't call it, because if they come in to the game with any sort of complacency, we've got a chance. But I think we're going to have to be bang on it, and they're going to have a bit of an off day for us to get a result.
Yeah, they can afford to lose, and it won't make a lot of difference to their position, but I don't see them being complacent one bit. Lee mentioned the crowd there, Jake. 4 previous visits to Yeovil to the park. The highest gate we've had is only 853. It's incredible. We've not hit 4 figures before. We're going to smash that on Saturday. No two ways about it. But do you think home advantage is going to matter an awful lot on Saturday when you're playing Yeovil in such form? We're in great form as well, of course.
No, I do agree. Home form, it's hard to say, isn't it? It's not like the Clarence Park pitch is some sort of leveler, is it? It's not an Oxford City sort of trampoline or bouncy castle. It's a decent pitch to play on, and it's going to be really difficult. They're a good team. Well, I mean, Lee, the rumours we've heard about their wage budget, they're not far off almost a Football League weekly budget, have they, with the squad they've got? And the amount of players they've bought, I mean, they've been picking off the best players from Taunton Town in the recent weeks. They picked up a lad from Bristol City the other week who got released, and he scored on his debut last Saturday. They've got a brilliant team, a very strong team. They don't go out and win a lot of games, 3, 4, 5-0, do they? But they're very efficient and they're very professional. And I can see them sort of just making comfortable work potentially on Saturday, as much as I hate that to see. But we'll see. It's a shame they didn't have a game on Tuesday night. Their trip to Truro was postponed. And I think they've also got Reece Murphy, their sort of main goal scorer, back after an injury. So it's going to be difficult. They go with their confidence. But then for us, is it, a bit of a cliche, but is it a bit of a free hit? I don't know. It's going to be difficult. I'm not really sure what to expect from us on Saturday. It'd be interesting to see if we change our approach at all. I would say we shouldn't, but I wonder if we just look a bit more cautious potentially. I'm not sure.
Can't afford to do
Reece
that.
Murphy.
No,
I was going to say Reece Murphy. He's the guy. He actually scored what turned out to be the winner in the first game there. And you mentioned Sam Pearson, the new signing they got from Bristol City. He scored twice last week on his debut, but that's only against Hemel. So that's a reserve team game presumably. And you're talking about what do we do? What does Nobby now go with Mitch in the starting 11 along with Sean, or does he drop him? And if Hutchinson's fit, which is unlikely, hamstring be fit that quickly, does he bring him back in?
I think you got to stick with the team. I think you got to stick with Mitch. Yeah. I don't think we've got the players or the mindset to just sit back and absorb all that pressure. We've seen too many times this season where we haven't got the capabilities of doing that for a prolonged amount of time. I think our skill set is going to be in our attack and the way we press forward quickly in numbers and play through the key areas. I think that's where we've got to be. We have got players that will hurt Yeovil. No two ways about it. We've got excellent players. And the thing is, don't forget, Yeovil, yes, they're runaway leaders, but they're in the same league as us, and we weren't great down at their place, and we were competitive enough. As you say, Jake, chances are they're going to come and think they're just going to turn up with the caliber of players they've got and just grind out the result. And even if we are in their faces, and even if we are, a goal to the good at some point, they've got the quality, and the know-how of how to win games. And that's what champions elect to do. That said, though, I think we've got some good players. And if we play to our strengths, Tavs, this is one of your massive, massive things, mate, isn't it? Play to our strengths. Don't worry about them for the minute. We can cause some problems. And you know what? Who knows?
Yeah, you're dead right there, Lee. At the start of the season, we were too defensive. We were worried about what the opposition could do. Last few weeks, we've seen them doing more what we've asked for. And other supporters playing in the opposition half, testing them out. and haven't cracked on Tuesday, and others will as well. I've just been looking at Yeovil's last 3 games. I haven't got the last one there for last Saturday, but before that, 6,000, 5,000, 3,000. So it should be a good turnout Saturday.
It's not bad, is it? I'm interested. I mean, one potential change. I agree. Mitch should start. It make most sense. Will we possibly see Dan Bowery come in for Nathan Carlisle? I don't know if that's one possible change. Bowery, I thought looked all right on Tuesday, but then is he fit enough? Do you stick with the same defence from Tuesday? Probably. But then we know Nathan Carlisle can sometimes get a little bit exposed by a bit of pace. So be interested to see how that works. And also with Barry offers you that sort of outlet, doesn't he, down the right, if you're going to put Mitch in the team, who might drift a bit more centrally at times. But it's going to be interesting. And probably on Saturdays, it's going to be, if we get half a chance, we need to take it, don't we? Because I don't know if we're going to get a lot of chances on Saturday. And you want them falling to Sean Jeffers, who hopefully will be getting set up by Mitchell Weiss. Because I don't think we're going to... I mean, it could be similar to that Torquay game. Sean Jeffers came in for his first start, wasn't it? Or came off the bench, whatever it was. Missed a sitter, and that's because he hadn't played any minutes so far that in the season. So hopefully we can take advantage of any half chances that may present themselves.
Well, we've never beaten Yeovil. 9 previous meetings. I think we drew 4 the first 5 and got nothing out of one since then. But some of our goal scorers, you're saying we've got to stick whatever chances we get, we've got to stick them away because we're not going to get many. Clarkey's got a couple, Steve Clark is, Alan Cochrane's got a couple, and John Dade. We had some of our top players have scored against them in the past. So who are you looking for this time? Obviously, Sean Jeffers. Mitch has spells. When he gets one goal, he starts getting a few goals and then goes quiet again for about 8 months. And so this time, hopefully, sorry, Mitch, hopefully he's now at the start of another run. And Zane Banton, by the way, is his 200th league game on Saturday.
Yeah, and what an occasion to sort of cap it all off with a goal. But this is it now, isn't it? You know, Jake and I were sort of talking amongst our harem on Tuesday night about the fact that Zane's hit the ground running, and there's an argument to be had that he's played some of his best football so far in a Saints shirt. The way he's just sort of come back into the equation. Hoddle's got a taste for goals as well now. Blackman's chipping in with sort of 1 or 2. He's looking a lot more productive than he did in the first half of the season. Mitch, for me, he looks refreshed after his tree cutting antics. So hopefully he's going to get back onto the score sheet as well. Sean is Sean. Sean is Sean. But don't forget as well, I think there could be an option for a Canby latter sort of stages, you know, maybe to cause some havoc. There's options there for Nobby. And I think that's the brilliant thing. And everyone's hitting the form, everyone's hitting the right note at the right sort of time. And I don't think we need to be scared of them, you know, but I think we need to be respectful, but also play to our strengths.
Can't argue with any of that.
I'm sure you will.
Should we do some... No, I never argue with anything. I believe everything everyone ever tells me. Should we do some predictions then? Go on then, Jake. What are you going for?
Oh, thanks. I'm going to go reverse psychology. I'll go for a 2-1 defeat.
Oh, no. Well, you're off next week's show. Right, Lee?
A very optimistic 3-3 draw.
Christ. I wouldn't be able to cope.
Might be worth getting there on time. Like everybody else, they are prone to a bad result, and their one defeat in those 20 games was 4-1 at Welling. I mean, it's quite an achievement to lose to Welling this season, to go down 4-1. So they're obviously are weak at the back and suspects, so I'm going for a 3-0 City win.
Oh, my goodness me, Dave. Have you started drinking? I know it's been not the greatest week for you. Deary me.
Yeah, that might help, mightn't it?
It has to be said. I mean, I say Yeovil, they're not amazing away from home. They're not, you know, every game winning comfortably.
Don't start doing this.
So...
You're sowing the seeds of positivity now. What are you doing?
I know. I'm sorry.
Oh, mate.
You know, but I think it'll be like you sort of hinted at, Lee. I think it'll be a really good afternoon on and off the pitch. Whatever happens, hopefully, I think it'll be a really entertaining afternoon and a really good crowd, and another big crowd this season, hopefully, which will be brilliant.
Well, recent away games, you actually, unusually, Joe, you're actually right. 1-0 win at Taunton, followed by, before that, a 1-0 win at Eastbourne, 2-2 at Dartford, 1-0 win at Bath City, which is quite notable, and then the thrashing at Welling. So, yeah, they are struggling desperately, aren't they?
Oh, I'm up for this now. You talked me into it, boys. I'm going to change my prediction. Oh, what? It's going to know. You're absolutely right, Jake. You know, the crowd's going to be massive. Do get down there early. Otherwise, you won't get in. And if you do get in, you certainly won't get served the beer. So get down there nice and early and cheer on them mighty Saints.
I suppose we should add as well. We don't know the full arrangements. We don't think it's segregated, but we haven't heard anything, have we? Yeovil have been selling. Well, we've been selling specific away fan tickets, but it's not segregated from what we've heard. So there'll be plenty of queues.
Talking of away support, where was it recently? Was it Torquay when Eastbourne went there? And they show a number of away supporters, and Eastbourne took a mighty 14. Yeovil, you think, are going to bring more then?
Yeah, but Eastbourne barely get double that at home. So, you know, you're not really making a fair comparison here, Dave, are you, mate? So...
Yeah, but they announced 1,100.
Chairman we have known and loved. Right, anyway, but yes, so...
right. We thought there's a player coming in on loan this week. He's been with us before. Bit of a surprise he's not there. And you two got anything on it?
So, yes, there's murmurings, is there, Jacob, of Francis Clark returning to Clarence Park. So he was on loan at Dagenham, a team that I'm involved with professionally. So it was really weird because he won the Player of the Month for his first month there, and then he didn't play again, and he basically sat on the bench with another former Saints star, David Long King, for the good part of 2 months. So I mean, hey, listen, what a centre half pairing that would be right now, David Long King and Aidan Francis Clark. So, but I know that Luton are sort of looking to they've recalled all of their loanees at the start of the year to assess them, their fitness and whatever. It's what they do, and then they sort of put them out again, looking for sort of pastures new. There's talk of Aidan Francis Clark going up to the higher level, maybe a League Two, possibly the National League North. But there is also he loved his time here. He loved his time here, and he's going to get game time, and he's going to be playing good football. I'm not entirely sure his granddad's quite recovered from me putting him on his arse in the playoff final, but at Dartford. But look, I mean, the thing is, there's an argument there, though, isn't there? Because if he comes back, Partington and Clark have done fantastically well during their time together. Does he come straight back into the equation if he's available?
Jake, you're a specialist on centre halves.
Am I really? Yeah, it is a good question. I mean, arguably, he could potentially fill that void of, not really a void. He is there. Nathan Carlisle, for example, on Tuesday on that left-hand
void
side,
there, mate, is there?
Potentially, but then if that happens, then you've got Carlisle and Dan Bowery both sort of sitting on the bench waiting for games to come in. And it has to be said, Dan Bowery has been quite effective in recent games coming off the bench. So it's interesting, but Aidan Francis Clark was a quality sign. It's easy to forget. We only had him from like March last season. We only had him for going on for two months. And the impact he had on the defence and the team as a whole was absolutely superb, wasn't it? He was a quality player, I thought. You could see that from his first kick of the ball. And to have him for the rest of the season really could make quite a difference. You know, we're not amazing at keeping clean sheets. We know that. But someone like Aidan Francis Clark coming in could be superb if it happens. But, you know, as you said, Lee, Luton are probably still going to hold out and see if they can get some sort of deal with a higher club with him with the week and so that's left of the window. But if he does come in, I think Saints fans would absolutely love it.
Yes, 11 games for us last season and one rather memorable goal. I heard the name Nathan Carlisle mentioned in there. He and Gio Risulu both picked up their 5th booking of the season on Tuesday, but that wouldn't affect them. I don't know what suspensions are now. Probably his slate's been quite clean this time of year. I don't know, but it wouldn't affect them for Saturday. Either way. Right, we mentioned possible changes within the squad there. What about off the pitch? Some time ago, we lost our director of football. The club was going to make an appointment there. No sign of white smoke there. Since then, the media team, Andy Hippisley and Will Tyrer, both quit the club and been followed now by Barry Higson, the sales and marketing guy, who's also quit the club. There's a few vacancies up for grab. We're still waiting for the kit manager. If you want to see the job spec, it's about that long. There's vacancies to be had if you two have got some spare time.
I think we've burnt those bridges a while ago, Tav. So everyone's leaving the club. Is there a common denominator in all of this, do you reckon, mate? Or is it just the fact that they're moving on to seemingly bigger and better things?
It's a coincidence, pure coincidence.
Is it?
Actually, Barry Higson, he's the only one staying in football, isn't he, out of the three most recent departures? Has he gone to Charlton Athletic?
Yep.
Yeah, I have to say it's a brilliant move, so fair play, good luck.
Yeah.
But I'd say it's a real. I think going into the season and the conversations we had, Lee, not that long ago, to be honest. But, there was a lot of talk of building the club up behind the scenes and continuing and build on what we have. And suddenly, a lot of the people that were doing that have now left. So a lot of
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if we went into the boardroom and put forward our CVs? That'd be. I mean, the faces alone would be just worth. You know what I mean?
Well, I've got to say, Lee, first of all, well done on getting into the boardroom. You've got to get past the mafia first.
Yeah, there is a lot of gaps, and I'm sure the club is recruiting them. As we saw Matt Biggs come in for the media side, and he seems to be doing quite a reasonable job so far, which is good to see. And he's been approachable for supporters, which is brilliant, which is what we sort of carrying on what Andy's done. But yeah, a lot of change off the pitch, and it's just more upheaval, isn't it, at a time that isn't particularly needed, but things seem to be going quite well, so we can't complain too much.
Doing quite a reasonable job. Crikey, what a glowing praise for the man's job the man's doing.
Very, very.
Get a grip, Joe, get a grip. Right, we've run out of people to run down. I think time to go, isn't
it? Oh God, Dave, have you got anything else you want to add?
Just thank you to various people this week. Thank you, and we'll be back again next week. Hopefully a bit earlier in the week.
Yes, brilliant. Right, from us, thank you very much. If you want to comment, it's on Twitter, email below as well. And we will speak to you again next week after the Saints pick up another 3 points against Yeovil Town. Come on, you Saints. Bye-bye, everyone.